The Devizes lobby within the UK government, chaired by Andy Burnham and his acolytes, are now beginning to fret a little about a lunatic exposing the Devizes ring. Indeed, the Devizes lobby, politicians, business executives, and military intelligence chiefs are themselves regular visitors to the Devizes infanticide cults. So they do not want to have their fetishes threatened. So it's interesting to consider that this network of the Devizes lobby are now getting ready to unleash a full-scale war with the Russian Federation to distract from any exposures of Devizes. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, this plan involves the utilization of a military intelligence spook defense intelligence task force that will operate from Warminster military base, who will slaughter several British citizens across Wiltshire and blame the attack on the Russians, very similar to the Skripal incident, where the British intelligence and security services utilized a chemical from Porton Down on Sergei Skripal and blamed the attack on the GRU. Indeed, there are plans afoot for defense intelligence spooks to slaughter British citizens in the county of Wiltshire and blame it on the Russians. Indeed, simultaneously, I will be arrested as a so-called instigator of these Russian attacks and as a Russian disinformation agent. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, Devizes police and leading all the way up to the Devizes lobby are still attempting to cast me as a Russian spy, which I am not. This is what the British paedophile rings do when they are threatened. They begin to make out anyone threatening the paedophile circuit or organ harvesting networks as a Russian spy. So it's all very interesting to consider the tactics that are being utilized by Devizes police and defense intelligence here in Warminster, attempting to portray me as a Russian spy. And I expect at some point they will attempt to convict me for treason, in which case I will be locked in solitary in Broadmoor on charges of high treason against the Crown, I imagine. Indeed, this is all part of the ongoing targeted individual program that is being utilized against me by the government. Indeed, I am a targeted individual being targeted by many agencies within the British government, the intelligence community, the security services, the defence industry, and the British police, all because I exposed the fact that Walter Rose and Sons Butcher Shop in Devizes was a headquarters for an organ harvesting network being run by Albanian mob, Russian mob, and Romanian mob elements interconnected with Devizes police and Devizes residents, and also interconnecting with Kurdish mobsters who are rape gang operatives operating with the express will of Devizes police, and a Turkish Class A drug trafficking syndicate operating through the kebab shops, and a Bengali illicit child porn network operating through the curry houses. So it's all very interesting. All of this is going on the same street as the Devizes police headquarters, and indeed the Devizes lobby within the British government are offering a witness protection scheme to various satanic ritual abuse victims to attempt to trick them into a false sense of security and then harvest their organs, utilizing the Walter Rose and Sons butcher shop organ harvesting capacity. So it's all really quite awful what is going on, centered in the town of Devizes, where the Wiltshire Police headquarters is, and Moonraker Lodge number 8747, which is a chief lodge operating for a Sabbatean global conspiracy. So it's all very interesting to consider indeed. The Moonraker Lodge number 8747 Masons are themselves Faith of Ishmael adherents through being Shriners. So it's all very interesting to consider how all of this interlinks. Indeed, the Defence Intelligence scheme to slaughter victims in Wiltshire is going to take on the form of targeted assassinations, i.e., of whistleblowers and remnants of satanic abuse cartels who are attempting to escape from the British police's matrix. So very interesting. They have designated 47 targets in Wiltshire to be neutralized, and then these targeted assassinations will be blamed on the Russians, and I will be arrested as part of the so-called Russian conspiracy to kill Wiltshire people. And my videos will be used as evidence that I was attempting to incite violence against Wiltshire residents. So it's all very interesting to consider that I've got myself caught up in a large game of international espionage and invoked the ire of one of the most powerful lobbies within the British government structure, i.e. the Devizes lobby, headed at the moment by the prospective future Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, who regularly attends rituals in Devizes where he rapes children, sacrifices them, fucks their dead bodies, and eats their flesh. So it's all very interesting to consider, and this man is going to be potentially the next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. And he is operating a scheme whereby the military will be mobilized for a conflict with the Russian Federation in eastern Ukraine and the Baltic states. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, Defence Intelligence plan to set up all of this through a false flag operation designed in many instances to terminate my operation. So it's interesting to consider the lengths that the Defence Intelligence spooks of Warminster military base are prepared to go to terminate my operations. Indeed, they are utilising networks of local residents here in Warminster to target me for assassination attempts also. Indeed, they want to utilise networks of supposed local gangsters to give me a hard time on the streets of Warminster. All of this is being set up with interconnectivity with Devizes police and Devizes residents also. So it's all very interesting to consider and really quite awful indeed. This has all happened because of my mission in exposing the organ harvesting cartel operating out of Walter Rose and Sons butcher shop. Indeed, I've suffered tremendously for my exposures of this network in the past 6 years, especially by radiation being beamed at me by Devizes police operatives and the Ferris family of Melksham, Devizes and Chippenham, who seem to have a personal vendetta against me for exposing the daughter, Emma Ferris, as a policewoman. So it's all very interesting to consider what is going on here, the amount of personal revenge feuds that are being operated by Devizes residents and kinsfolk of Devizes residents here in Warminster. Indeed, there are so many networks in Wiltshire that want to defend the reputation and supposed honour of Wiltshire police that they are prepared to kill me to do so. So it's all very interesting to consider and really quite scary for me. I'm in an unenviable position as the targeted individual I am. I am in an unenviable position because not only am I attacked with beams and harassed in public, I'm also harassed by voice to skull technology that beams voices, thoughts, memories, and false information into my brain for the majority of the day. So it's actually very difficult to function at all. So it's all very interesting to consider, and this is all because of my exposures of Wiltshire Police and the Waterrose and Sons organ harvesting cartel. Indeed, Wiltshire Police seem to stop at nothing in attempting to destroy me for it supposedly insulting them. Basically, indeed, it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, I still believe that the Wiltshire Police services are blindsiding me in a sense by basically allowing this video channel to carry on. And eventually they're going to pick me up on an anti-Semitism charge or an anti-Islamic charge, depending on what I say. So it's all very interesting that they've realized they can't actually arrest me for exposing British operations. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, I'm going to have to be very careful about what I say about Zionism or the nature of the faith of Ishmael. So those topics are basically off limits. Indeed, from now on, I'm basically the majority of the time going to talk about British operations and British operatives involved in this overarching network. Indeed, the overarching network of Grenville Lodge lobbyists within the Warminster military intelligence capacity is a spook I've mentioned before. Anthony Graham, who is a personal subaltern of Sir John Sawers, who was one of the Director Generals of MI6 at the time I was at Grenville Lodge. Indeed, I personally encountered Sir John Sawers under the name James A. Pritchard. Indeed, it wasn't until several years later that I came across a picture of Sir John Sawers, the Director General of MI6, and realized it was the man I knew as James A. Pritchard. Indeed, this man has very crazy sexual fetishes, so it's all very interesting to note that all of these people that I talk about are fetishists in some manner, and really quite disturbing in their overall operations. Indeed, it's all very strange to consider, and indeed the Devizes lobby, who are basically now running the country as the most powerful lobby network within the British government, want to cause a third world war so that Devizes can protect its so-called respectable reputation. So it's all very interesting the lengths that the Devizes residents through their higher ups will go to end all of this exposures stuff. So it's all very interesting to consider that the Devizes population are calling for World War III so that they can protect their lifestyle of child rape, incest, cannibalism, necrophilia, and ritual sacrifice. So it's all very interesting to know. It's so hot this morning, it's horrible. Indeed, this individual operating out of almost a military base, Anthony Graham, is chiefly operative for black operations of defense intelligence domestically and abroad, usually involving child abduction for the rings of the Hellfire clubs around Wiltshire. Indeed, Anthony Graham is a liaison between defense intelligence and the Bowood House Hellfire Club operative near Calne. So it's all very interesting to consider. how all of this interlinks, and indeed, my conspiracy theories are focusing on local topics at the moment because I believe these are the most important topics to consider these days. Indeed, it's all very interesting to consider how awful the disturbing secrets at the heart of the county of Wiltshire really are. Indeed, Ted Heath was a resident of Wiltshire, and he was chiefly a DVD operative and renowned child rapist and toddler molester. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, his government was known for the power of the Devizes lobby. So it's all very interesting how certain at certain times the Devizes lobby is the most powerful contingent within the British government, and this is going to become certain with the possible ascendancy of Andy Burnham, who, as I've explained, is a regular visitor to the Devizes infanticide cult. So it's all very interesting and all truly disturbing. So I'm not entirely sure what else to say about the town of Devizes. Indeed, in future videos, I'm going to expand the scope of the Devizes exposure to include Devizes lobbyists within the US government also, because various factions of the CIA are related by blood to Devizes residents, which explains why certain factions of the CIA seem to have a very strong dislike of me, especially those connected to Warminster military base and the liaisons there, and those bloodliners of Devizes residents within several factions of the CIA. Indeed, it's all very interesting to consider that the Devizes ring has a certain amount of CIA protection. Indeed, the Roundway experiment is also overseen in various capacities by the National Security Agency, i.e. the NSA, and relates to the IBIS project that James Casbolt exposed. So it's all very interesting to consider all of this. Indeed, I'm still designated TF-84 within the Roundway experiment. Indeed, a lot of the voice to skull technology utilized on me is done during rituals by mind control programmers in the Devizes catacombs. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, in my last few days in Devizes, there was a huge ritual sacrifice of babies, and demons were summoned and implanted into my brain by Devizes residents in the catacombs beneath Walter Rose and Sons Butcher Shop and Moonraker Lodge number 8747. Indeed, at the time I was close to really exposing Devizes for what it is, and they reacted accordingly the way that they do, i.e. ritually sacrificing children and babies and summoning demons to infest the brain of the exposer. Indeed, various members of the 76 mental patients who were killed by Devizes residents between 1989 and 2001 reported auditory disturbances and strange phenomena in their brains because Devizes residents were sacrificing babies and summoning demons to implant their brains in their brains for an infestation. Indeed, this is a continually ongoing occurrence. Indeed, these phenomena are paranormal phenomena summoned in Sabbatean ceremonies by Devizes police, Devizes residents, and the Moonraker Lodge number 8747 network, which is itself coordinated by the 49 elders of Devizes, which includes Master Mason Stephen Bridge of the Grand Lodge of Devizes, i.e. Moonraker Lodge number 8747. So it's all very interesting to consider how all of this interlinks and what this means for the future. Indeed, the possibilities of the future in Wiltshire could really be very disturbing indeed. Another reason that Defence Intelligence want to set up this false flag is to silence witnesses of the Roundway experiment and Devizes ritual abuse rings. So it's all being used for several purposes. This false flag that defense intelligence, i.e. British military intelligence spooks, are going to carry out to attempt to summon a demonic war between the United Kingdom and the Russian Federation. Indeed, I'm going to leave it there now because it's too hot to make videos. I may not make another one today, so alright.